What's going on, guys? My name is CJ Wolf and this is Dark Souls 3. So up until this point on my channel I've put a lot of random invasions, but I actually started dueling, and it's been pretty fun. It's been pretty enjoyable actually. I have enjoyed it a lot more than I initially thought I would. But one thing that I don't like is I don't like the lack of dueling areas, I guess you could say, because pretty much everyone comes here near Pontiff Sullivan, but there's nowhere else where people pretty much duel a lot, you know. So for example, at least in Dark Souls 1, there was the township, and there was the bird, you know. But here, so at least we had two, you get me. So let's say there was a lot of like hackers or something in one, you can go to another, and then the forest also had a lot of random invasions. But here it's like for well, at least for duels, it's only this place, and I kind of don't like that. But what else? Well, one thing that I wanted to talk about is Tears of Denial, right? So I just kind of wanted to give some advice or explain like how I deal with it. When I first played the game, like, I really hated that miracle because I would do a lot of random invasions, right? So pretty much people would get away after, like I would pretty much kill them. The miracle would activate, they'd get away, they'd get a chance to heal, and I'd end up losing or whatever. And that got really frustrating, but at first I thought that it gave them half health, just like in Demon Souls. But now that I've actually like been paying more attention, I've realized that it actually just leaves them with 1 HP. So what I do is I strap on the gauntlets of thorn, and then pretty much as soon as I see that they die, like I'm just rolling at them, you know. And you'll see it in a few clips, right? So I just roll at them, and then eventually that gauntlet of thorns will take that last bit of HP. So pretty much, if when I'm dueling anyways, if the Tears of Denial get activated, you're pretty much gonna lose. I mean, at least so far, I haven't lost to anyone who has Tears of Denial after it's been activated. Like, so once it's activated, like 9 times out of 10, I've won, because I haven't lost yet. Not to sound cocky or anything, but it's just you don't have to engage anymore. Like, at least with my strategy, like pretty much all you have to focus on is getting that one roll to hit. And since you're pretty much winning, all you have to worry about is dodging and then getting that last hit. I mean, I guess some people might frown upon it because they'll be like, oh, you're not really earning the hit, you're not really earning the kill because you're just rolling at them, you know. But honestly, like the way I see it, at least, I mean, you can go ahead and use it, there's no problem with that. I'm not saying don't, but it doesn't really agree with my etiquette or philosophy of PvP. So that's why I do that to counter it, kind of like fighting a little bit of cheap for cheap, I guess you could say. Because the way I think of it is this: like once you lose, or once your health goes down to 0, at least in duels, you should be done. You get me? And I mean, if you're doing a miracle or faith build, then I guess I'd be more inclined to take off the gauntlets and not use that strategy. But the problem is a lot of these dudes, they just use that one miracle. Like that's all they use is Tears of Denial, just to get that extra hit in, or just to have a extra bit of life. And I kind of don't agree with that. I kind of don't think that you should. Well, I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but it's not what I would do. Therefore, I'm gonna do what I can to counter it, I guess you could say. It's kind of like buffing, like when people buff, I'll throw stuff at them from the beginning. Like let's say they bow, right, and then they start buffing, I'll throw a knife, throw a kukri or whatever it's called. And the reason why I do that is because I don't believe in duels you should use buffs. I'm not saying don't. I'm not saying you're a horrible person if you do. It's just that's not what my etiquette is. That's not what my philosophy of dueling is. Therefore, I'll throw a knife. And sometimes I'll even miss, and the intention isn't so much to hit it. It's just I guess to throw it. Plus, the way I see it, at least from my perspective, that one knife won't like even the odds, I guess you could say, compared to the buff. You know, especially like those intelligence buffs or buffs like miracle buffs or whatever, like Dark Blade and Crystal Magic Weapon. There you go. Like literally one hit and you'll do more damage than my one knife. You know, so I think it's fair, for lack of a better word. But yeah. So PvPing has been fun. I've been learning the ropes. I've been kind of like learning how to duel, and this was a pretty cool duel also. I like this guy. I like the way he fights. He was very aggressive. No one was camping. We were like reading each other. It was a good time. You know, it was a good time. And I guess this brings me to another topic. Like, our our Hornet rings really necessary? Like really, you know what I mean? Cause there's dudes who have ultra great swords. They buff him, and they still use a damn Hornet ring. You know? And I'm thinking, like, whenever that happens to me, or whenever I see someone who does that, I'm just thinking to myself, like, really, dude? Like, does your big ass sword not do enough damage on its own that with the buff that you need the Hornet ring? You know? To me, the Hornet ring is a random invasions item. Straight up. Like, to me, I only use that thing during random invasions because my objective isn't to kill you because of one parry, you know? Because does it take skill to parry? Sure. But there's a pretty good degree of luck in there also. You know, depending on, or maybe not luck, but there's other factors involved besides just, you know, quote unquote skill. There's like latency, there's lag, I don't know if it's the same thing. There's, you know, there's just a bunch of things that go into parry, when you press the button, when the other person swings, stuff like that, right? And then plus, like, there's certain tools that are just so damn easy to parry with that, like, it's honestly, like, I don't know how to put it. Now that, again, it takes skill, but it doesn't take as much as you might think, or that it might seem, I guess. So these dudes, they just pretty much one-shot you with the damn ultra great sword and the damn buff and the Hornet ring, and I just don't think that it's really necessary. I mean, even smaller weapons with the Hornet ring, they'll do like 1,000 damage, and most people, they're only carrying like 1,500, 1,600, so 2 hits and then a parry with the Hornet ring and you're done. Sometimes even 1. I mean, it depends on, you know, your stats and all that. So I just wondered to myself, like, dude, are Hornet rings really necessary during duels? Because I see like so many people using them, you know. And again, I mean, if that's you, then go ahead, I guess. You know, you paid $60 for the game, so you can do whatever you want. It's just, I personally don't agree with that. I personally don't think that it's necessary, because killing someone with one parry doesn't really, like, what are you learning from that? Do you get me? Like, what are you really learning? Because, for example, let's see this. Let's see how much it take. Alright, so that was like a good 75%. So pretty much, if I get hit now, I'm dead. Because it's a guaranteed, well, not guaranteed, but there's that 2-hit combo system. So a parry and 1 hit, and I'm done. Alright, so this was still a good fight though. I mean, all in all, besides the Hornet ring, this was a good fight. But this just goes to show you, like, is the Hornet ring really necessary? Like, do you really need it? I mean, I think I would have had, let's say, half health. So then I would have taken, it would have taken, let's say, 3 hits, and that extra hit can make the world of difference. Because look, even now, like, you know, I got parried, but, you know, I'm still doing pretty good, and look at that, I won the fight. I won the fight, you know. But if I had gotten hit, I would have died. But, you know, I was playing pretty good, and I won that one. So I kind of touched on this in previous video, but this kind of has to do with the same topic. Like, I just really don't understand why buffs are necessary in certain cases. You know what I mean? Like, people, it seems they're relying on buffs. They need it. Like, they can't live without it. Like, there's so many dudes with their damn, you know, freaking Warden twin blades and all that, just kill you in one shot, and it's like, what are you learning? Like, you're not learning any tactics, you get me? Like, obviously it takes some quote unquote skill to get a hit, you know. Not most people, at least. They're just not going to stand there and let you hit him. But for the most part, if you're killing people in one hit, like, what are you learning? You're not learning anything. you know, and that's why I don't agree with Hornet Rings. That's why I don't buff. That's why I don't do any of that. You know, I think that the health that you start with is the health that you should have, and that's it. You get me? Because for example, let's say you want to be able to last more hits, you know, because that might be the reasoning for the Tears of the Denial, right? So let's say you want to last more hits. Well, invest more in HP if that's what you really want. If that's your playstyle. If you want to be able to take extra hits, then invest more in HP. You don't need Tears of Denial. You get me? Again, like I said, if you're a faith-oriented character, then sure, go ahead. You know, if you're a intelligence build and you want to use Crystal Magic Weapon, go ahead. Because I think that those spells and sorceries, sorry, those spells and miracles, I should say, that's what they're for, to supplement the weaknesses, I guess, of the of those classes. Because honestly, like the mages right now, they're not really good, or they're not as viable, at least in my opinion. You know, yeah, I'm talking pure mage, right? So in those situations, like, go ahead, use your little buff, whatever, because you're not gonna do much damage otherwise, right? But a lot of these people, they just invest like 60 points in intelligence, and then, or let's just say miracles, they invest 60 points in faith to get a big ass buff, and they use Tears of Denial and say, oh, you know, I want to be able to take more hits. It's like, dude, why are you spending 60 points just to like one-shot people? If you want to take more hits, then, you know, invest the points, make some sacrifices, because you can't have everything. You can't have the ability to tank hits and kill people in one, you know? That seems pretty stupid to me. So I don't use a Hornet Ring, I don't use buffs, I don't use anything like that. If anything, the most I'll do is, if you buff, I'll buff. That's kind of one of my rules, you know. But even then, sometimes I just don't even deal with that. Sometimes I don't buff at all, because at the end of the day, it's a challenge, you know. If I'm doing less damage than you, it will take me more hits, which means I have to play better, you know, generally, to win the fight. So that's like my philosophy. Okay, let's take a look. Yeah, see, there you go. Tears of Denial went up, and I went to Roland. And here we have another guy with Tears of Denial, and I think I'm gonna do the same thing. Or yeah, I think I'm gonna do the same thing. But that's my philosophy on PvP. I know a lot of people have different ones, and it may not. If yours, you know, if yours is, I need to buff before every duel, go ahead. You know, if yours is, I'm gonna use Tears of Denial, go ahead. Because like I said, at the end of the day, it's your game. You can do whatever you want. But I just thought I would share some food for thought, because you're not really learning anything if you just parry someone and kill them in one shot, or if you get a guaranteed one-hit combo. You know, you're not really learning anything. Like in this fight, I mean, you know, up until the Tears of Denial went off, I played him straight up. Fighting, engaging, whatever. It's just as soon as the Tears of Denial went off, that's when I'm like, okay, and I did my little strategy, or whatever you want to call it. But for the most part, I don't really like camp people out. I don't really, you know, play defensively, as you might call it. I like to engage, I like to be in people's faces. But for the most part, I consider my playstyle to be like adaptive. You know? I'll kind of like see how the person's playing and adapt to that situation. So yeah, guys, so I've been uploading for about a month now, I think. When my first upload came out. But I would love to start a dialogue, maybe have some conversations, and also maybe do some duels. So if you're interested in dueling, you could add me on PSN. My PSN is CJ Wolf. It's SEEJAY, and then Wolf with no space. I don't really have much else to say, so I'm just gonna close this one out, and I'll see you guys next time.